Yeah,
like we
nah.
just kind of cooling. You ready?
Yeah. This is.
You ready? You sure?
Yeah.
I bet. We in the building tonight. Redeem Yourself podcast. This evening, I got my guy, my brother. We go back. I ain't gonna say way back, but I met him on the music scene probably like 2009-ish. I just came home. I want to say, bro, I remember coming to the studio down there, but we're getting into all that and how I met him and whatnot and things that you got going on. But Mr. Noah-O, how are you, sir?
It's good, bro. Chilling.
No doubt. So we want to dive into the history, the now, and everything that you got going on for the future, man. Because just a snippet of time that I've been around you, I know you an avid reader.
Yeah.
I know Think and Grow Rich was in your back pocket at all times. You pulled out some other massive, thought-provoking book when we was on set a few months ago, and I was like, "Yo, this dude got it." Like his footsteps, he is a what we call a trailblazer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let my brother smack this intro music, and then we're gonna get into this conversation, my dog. Then we'll rap.
Oh, all right. I was about to say, yo, is this height right?
What?
Or
Just tilt it down. You can tilt it down here. Because it ain't gonna go down no lower. If you tilt it like there, bro, like as long as I can see you, because everything, and then I'll turn and kind of look at the camera from time to time too.
Gotcha.
But with these mics, they're so sensitive, so when you do speak,
yeah. Oh, all right.
Because if you go to the side, like it'll, like I could turn the volume up.
Yeah.
We straight? I bet. When we back on, man. So I know you hadn't had an opportunity to check out a lot of the pods, man, but I start this way all the time because I want to make sure everybody that's around me is in a good headspace, or if it's something that we got to discuss, brother. So how are you, my guy?
I'm well, man. Tired, but I'm working. I'm well though.
You've been busy. You've been busy, man. I've been following along for a while now, man. You got a lot of stuff cooking up, coming in the end of this month and the end of next month. You got something major popping off.
Yes, sir. Charged Up Fest.
Charged Up Fest. What that's about, bro?
Man, Charged Up Fest. I don't know if they can see this right here, but Charged Up Fest is it's our first attempt at doing a festival. Like you were saying, you met me. Man, it's been a while now.
It's been a while, bro.
09, 08, somewhere in that time frame. For those who don't know, part of my history is not only performing but also throwing events.
Mm-hmm.
So Charged Up Fest is our first attempt at doing a multi-day event in Richmond, Virginia. It's about 12, maybe 10 to 13 events over 4 days. So my birthday is May 30th. It starts on my birthday and it just goes Thursday through Sunday, just nonstop.
That's what's up, bro. The city needs it, man. And it's a really big look for you, man, because you've been grinding for a long time.
Yeah, man.
And before we even continue talking about the ups and ups, man, I like to dive into the history of who you are, what you come from. You know what I'm saying? So the first question I generally asked was, how was life for you growing up?
Man, like now looking back, it won't the best, but it won't the worst. It's a lot of things now that I'm an adult. I could look at and I could do things differently as far as the things I may have experienced as a child. I do my best to not expose my sons to those things. So
facts. You originally not from Richmond, Virginia, though, right?
Yeah, originally I grew up in San Francisco. I was born in San Francisco. I grew up in San Francisco, and then a city right on the border with San Francisco named Daly City. I grew up there, and I moved to Virginia in middle school.
Okay. Middle school you went to, bro?
Shoot, I went to Brooklyn Middle School for a year, and then I got expelled. Expelled. I moved here in 7th grade, went to Brooklyn Middle School in Henrico County for 7th grade. Then into my 8th grade year, I got expelled. From there, I had to stay home for a while. And then I ended up finishing middle school at like an alternative school. So
Randolph?
Yeah,
Okay.
Randolph, Virginia Randolph. Then high school, when I was able to go back into the regular school system, I went to Hermitage for a year. Then in my 10th grade year, same thing happened. I had to leave school and go back to alternative school, and kind of bounced around from there. Went to Highland Springs for a little while, but then went back to Randolph. But I did graduate from Virginia Randolph.
Which is a blessing, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So take me back, because I moved here from Tallahassee, Florida in 8th grade. And I don't know what it was about that move for me, but it was like immediately, I mean, now I know hindsight is 2020. You know what I mean? Like my family, our family, like our entire family is in Florida. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have nobody here now except our mother, as our father passed away last year.
Man, my condolences.
Yeah, no doubt, bro, no doubt. So what was that like for you, bro? It's like, was it a struggle to transition? Were you trying to fit in? Like, what do you think? Like, looking back at it, what was it that kind of led to getting expelled from school and having to take the alternative schooling route?
Man, it was I'm not gonna lie, it was difficult. It was a lot. You know, when you're growing up, I think part of what kids need is stability. So, and the circumstances of why we ended up here, it was it was hard. My parents had split up for like a couple years. My father ended up moving to Virginia. My father was from Virginia. My mom was from San Francisco. So he ended up out here to kind of get back on his feet. And then my mother sent us to live with my father. And it was like kind of abrupt, you know what I mean? Like a few weeks before we were supposed to start school, one day she just told us we were leaving, or my sister and I. So yeah, one day it was just like I was on a plane and headed to Virginia. So that time it was difficult, man, especially like I'm Filipino and Italian. So
Okay.
growing up in California was very diverse. And the neighborhood in the area I was from, it was like predominantly Filipino or like Latino. It was mostly like Filipino, Latino. Yeah, predominantly like Filipino and Latino. So when I moved here, it was just culture shock because out here was just white and black.
Right.
And
facts.
like, yeah, my pops is Italian. He's Italian American, but I didn't even know he was white till we moved to Richmond. I didn't think of it in those terms, you know what I mean?
Nah.
Because over there is so diverse. I think it never dawned on me that he was white, but I wasn't around a lot of white people. So when we moved here, it was like, that's when I first became aware of like really race.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's weird, bro.
I never thought about it, but I was in such a diverse place. Like everybody was different, you know? And then like growing up, we lived in the inner city, and then my father had a business at one time. And that neighborhood was predominantly African American. So like I grew up in like being around like Filipinos, all different cultures. Then his business was in the African American neighborhood. So I was just comfortable around like probably all minority people, you know, but I had never experienced like such a, I think like a divide like when I moved here. So everything that I was exposed to was along those lines. Did that make sense? Like,
make perfect sense, bro. Because I know I kind of can read where it's going. And when you tell me if I'm wrong, was it like when you move with the culture shock, was it then a thing of like, how do I fit in here?
Yeah, I think it was more so I think I was frustrated. Like I knew, and I've always known who I am, but it's trying to get other people to understand who you are. You know what I mean? So I don't think in my shoes, it was never like, where do I fit in? It was like, how can I explain it? It's just like, just being in an environment and trying to give other people an understanding. You know what I mean? Especially as you're saying, like as a child where, you know, I think people will try to make sense of you based on their understanding.
Right.
So I think that was difficult, where it was like, I know, and I still know who I am, but I think it was hard being in an environment for other people to make sense of me and my place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and everything here was along black and white lines, where it's like,
Facts.
well, if you're not white, then are you black? Or you're not black, but you're not white too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Nah,
So
dude, I
it
know.
was just like,
I
yeah,
spoke
I think
about
a
it.
lot of people who are maybe mixed or biracial kind of go through that, or and it's just like, yeah, I feel bad for people who maybe grow up like that and feel like, they're not enough of this and not enough of that, but you're
Yeah.
really a mixture. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I think because I wasn't just white and black, it was just different, where I'm not going to be forced to choose what I am. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Facts.
So I just grew up always having to give, I think, an explanation. And that's kind of weird as a kid, where it's like I'm trying to constantly educate people on who I am.
Mhm.
But it started to make sense later as an artist, where it's like, that's kind of why I wear it on my sleeve. If you look at my screen name, it's Trilipino. Like, I just started to really embrace it and just wear it as a part of who I am, to where it's like, I'm gonna just answer the question.
Yeah,
You know
no
what I mean?
doubt.
So
Yeah,
we can move on.
I know it's gonna come. Let me
Yeah,
just put it on the front.
Yeah, so we don't even gotta address these things. And then, now time is a little bit different, where it doesn't matter as much, but it's still there. You know what I mean? It's still there, I think,
Yeah.
for people. But yeah, that was probably the hardest thing, that culture shock. And then, of course, like the normal things of growing up, where you're trying to have roots or a foundation, and now you gotta make new friends and things like that. So over time, I just got comfortable in that. I learned to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, or I learned
Facts.
to just embrace like things like change. And I think over the course of life, the way I was brought up now, I think prepared me for like just life period.
Okay.
In my life and lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Nah, no doubt, bro. So I took a lot from what you were saying, man, because I too, moving here, noticed the culture shock right away.
Yeah.
Florida, like the way we dressed, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We was football, basketball jerseys, shorts, Jordans year round.
Mhm.
A guy here was Timberland boots and Averex jackets on this side, and then Abercrombie on this side. And you like, yo, what? You know what I'm saying? So I stuck out like a sore thumb, bro. Like, yo, what the hell? I remember my first day I went to Short Pump Middle, had on an Emmitt Smith jersey and like some blue shorts, bro. And I got clowned, and I was like, dog, like, you know what? You know what I'm saying? It was like my first introduction to like New York hip hop. Florida, the radio stations, I remember vividly, if like any of that shit would cut on, they would cut it off and like change it because it wasn't accepted. So when like, I think Mobb Deep had just dropped in when I was in 8th grade, and I was like, yo, this shit is awful. You know what I'm saying? But it started to like grow on me, man. And so the circumstance immediately, man, started like fighting, having to prove myself a lot, because I was in that same space of, man, I'm not white enough to be over here, and I'm not black enough to be over here. Like, I know who I am, but like, how do I make my way in this new space? So then it became that the falsities of having to earn respect and shit like that, man. Now you grow up and you're like, oh, it was so stupid, but I felt like it was what I had to do at that time.
Yeah, that's part of like, like people say, the rites of passage, especially for young men, depending on your environment, yeah, it could seem stupid in hindsight, but I think it is part of that growth process. Like, because at a certain point, as a young man, you got to get out into the world, learn to assert yourself, learn to kind of maneuver and navigate different spaces. So,
no doubt.
Yeah, it all serve a purpose.
No doubt. So you bounced around a little bit from middle school through high school. Was it kind of the same things like that you were getting I guess, kicked out and then brought back? Was it the same like behavior patterns?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
It's been a long time, bro. I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my decisions. I feel like the decisions I made, even now, I'm always been the type of person where I'm gonna figure out a way to get what I want. So I think that could be a good thing, but if you don't have the right options, the options you may choose, it could lead to penalties. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like that's a good trait. You know, it's a good trait to be able to learn to get what you want and find a way to get what you want. But it's about having the right tools.
Right.
And I think I didn't have the right tools, and so it led me to embrace things that is gonna get me in trouble. You know, whether that's like, yeah. So that was like, I think it was that frustration with not having the right tools that led me to make bad decisions. So once I started to find something I was interested in, which was music, it gave me a healthy tool I could embrace. And then it was just about figuring out how can I get to the life I want with this thing I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt, bro. Because I mean, it's right. Like I knew what I wanted out of life, as I always envisioned myself before I knew what law of attraction was, or you know, Think and Grow Rich. I had this vision of who I was and what I wanted to be, and some of the things that I wanted. I just didn't know how to get there. So of course, some of the influences I was around, it was the fast way, which led to like jail sentences, suspensions, things of that nature. You know what I mean? And you bump your head a couple times. You're like, all right, bro, it's got to be something else that could still get me that result without having these consequences that keep knocking me 10 steps backward. So I definitely understand, man. You said something that is a perfect transition, man. Music was a healthy outlet for you when you found it. How did you find, not just how did you find music, but what did you hear or what did you see? Who were you around that made you say, yo, that is it? Like, no matter what I'm going to do in life, like, I want to create.
Yo, so really, hip hop had always been part of my life. Like, growing up, I had a cousin, he grew up in my same household. He grew up as like my big brother, you know what I mean? He was a teenager when I was a little kid. So I just remember always like going into his room, hearing him playing music. When I would leave the house, I would hear cars playing music or hear the radio. When I would walk to school, there would be like different mom and pop like record stores. So hip hop was always something like I gravitated towards. Like I would always sneak into my cousin's room, listen to music, and just be captivated by it.
Word.
I would go through all his stuff, look at the tapes, look at the pictures, read every little line on it to learn, you know, memorizing like words. So it was always something I was like in love with. I think when I was about 12, that's when I started really, I was probably like maybe 11 or 12. I started going and buying like music myself. And then I remember like getting like the posters from the stores, asking them, can I have the posters off the wall for the artists that I would be interested in. Then I think when I was about maybe 14, it was after, it was like 14 or 15, I think, when I first started like trying to write actual raps. Before then, like my mom, I kind of could always write. I had a gift to be able to write and articulate like my thoughts as like stories, poems,
books.
Yeah. And I enjoyed reading. So it was probably when I was about 14, 15, like I just started writing, like attempting to write little raps, probably in class or something. And then I remember being in like 9th grade, and I would always find ways to like make money and do stuff. So I remember buying a mixtape, I think from a barber shop, and I went and made copies of the mixtape. I went to a copy store, made copies of the cover, and then was selling them in school. But what I did was I found a way to hook up a headphone to my radio is like a mic,
Yeah.
and I recorded like myself rapping over Jay-Z beat or something, and then put that at the end of the tape.
Dope,
It's
yo.
like a secret track.
That's what's up, man.
And then when I
Hell
was
yeah.
selling the tape, I wanted to see like if people would realize that wasn't an official song. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like I snuck my freestyle on at the end, and then I think what built my confidence, like somebody I sold the tape to was like, man, I heard something at the end of that tape. Was that you? I was like, yeah. And they was like, oh, that's cool. That's crazy. Now that I'm thinking about this, somebody somewhere probably got a copy of one of them tapes. And if you do, holler at me. I want to hear that.
Yeah, we need that. We need that back. Get that back in his possession.
Yo, but that was the first time I tried to record. It probably sounded like crap, like just crap quality, all of that. But yeah, it was probably like about 15.
But that's dope, bro. And I think that's the beauty of creating, right? Like when you know you love something, it don't matter because you're just making something happen with whatever it is that you got.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you needed at that time was that spark to say, like, this is it.
Yeah, I didn't even know like I'll be where I'm at, but I just remember that feeling I would get from like sitting in my room, looking at magazines and like listening to the music. And that was the thing too. Like, you know, I was living in Virginia and I didn't necessarily feel like this was home.
Facts.
But me listening to artists, I could imagine and see in my mind the places they were describing. I could hear an artist from LA and it made me want to see LA. I would hear somebody from Houston and it just like music, you know,
take
mentally.
You away.
Mentally it took me away from, you know, my environment, the things I maybe didn't like going on in my household or just being here, maybe feeling like, you know, not accepted. And hip hop gave me something I felt like I belonged in. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt.
Know, just going back now to childhood, thinking about that. That I think was some of the feelings more than anything was like people probably trying to push upon me like you don't belong here. But it's like, man, wait, you know, this is where I live. Where am I gonna go? You know what I mean? But hip hop, and this is before I even met other people who rapped. I think just in the world mentally, when I would be transported somewhere else through the music, I felt like I belonged in, if that makes sense.
Nah, bro,
you know
it makes perfect sense. And I got that feeling, like I low-key got goosebumps, is that music is my first love, my passion. Yeah. But what I found, because I want to touch like how you were able to sustain this length of time continuing music, and now you really, really are starting to see results from your hard work is starting to pay off. You know what I'm saying? So when I fell in love with music was probably around the age of 12, man. I used to be at my grandma's house, my cousins, and I would just be freestyling. And that was probably like my first confidence boost of, yo, you really got something. I was like short and fat. So they used to call me Bubba. So that's what I would go by. When I wrote my first rap in 6th grade, it was funny as shit. They still call me Bubba when we go home. So you're looking up like, bro, chill. So if 6th grade, and if this teacher has this tape, that shit would be awesome. We had a project, and it was a math project, and we had to, you know, like do something with multiplication. So my number was 12. So my first rap I wrote was like all the ways that something could equal 12.
That's fine.
And so my homeboy, like he stood next to me and did the Art of Noise beat, the like the whole time. But the teacher recorded the shit
in class.
Yes, bro.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And if we could get that tape, that shit would be sweet, man. And I kind of knew, I just didn't know how. But I'm saying all this to say, like, I moved here. Music was where I also like felt accepted, like pulling up to your shows, getting on the stage, just getting that feeling. But I stopped when I got sober, man. And this is where like it was a transition for me. I went to New York to perform. Solid ass joint. Mr. Cheeks was there, a couple of the Coke boys. And I was in this bar, bro, and I think I was probably like 6 months sober, maybe not, like 4 or 5 months sober. course, most of these shows take place in bars and clubs. So I'm like sitting at the bar waiting for my turn to go on. And I remember when it finally happened, I remember walking outside. We were in Queens. And I was standing outside. I forget the other dude's name, but he used to be signed to Dipset. And they was all ready to go to his studio. And I looked at the dudes I was with. And I was like, bro, I just want to go to the hotel. Because in that moment, I felt so weak. Like, yo, how many times can I enter this space when this is what I just was trying to escape? Like the alcohol, the drugs being passed around. So I was sitting in there for 4 or 5 hours, like super nervous. Like I know addiction may not be, something that you struggle with, but that's a hard road to travel. Being a creative and continuing to push through. Like, so would you share maybe some obstacles that you've had to push through, whether it's grief, setbacks, losses, like anything?
Yeah, but to speak on that, like, I have friends. I got a lot of family, people that I love, they not here no more. Yeah, and I grew up around a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Especially growing up in California during like the height of the crack epidemic, like, family members on crack, people dying. And it's just like, I say all that to say like, I have friends now who struggle with some of them things. And I tell them like, it's a rough thing to try to be in this space if that's what you're battling with. So, I've had that conversation with people I care about. Like, look, you probably shouldn't come around until you're strong enough. Because I don't want you being with me to be the cause. Even though I'm not responsible for their decisions, but this lifestyle is not. It's not normal, right?
Like, it's not. Late nights.
Normal. I mean, here it is. It's 10 at night. I've been up since 6:45. You know what I mean? From trying to balance this, and that. But
it's 11, my boy.
Yeah. I've been up since. So I tell people that, people that want to get involved in music, I'm like, it's not just, you see a picture, it looks lit, or you rap. There's a lot that come with this lifestyle, and you have to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually strong, all of that to be able to be in this and not succumb to like the environment.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
But going back to your question, like, man, all of that, like rap is something I do, but real life is real life, right?
Right.
So I've still had to navigate real life and everything that comes with real life while I've been rapping. So like, grief, lost a lot of people I love. And I just feel like, I don't think it's like, how can I put this? Like rap is something I do, just like somebody could bounce a ball or works as a mechanic. But it's like, I just promised myself I wouldn't let anything take away this from me. Right? Through navigating life, the ups and downs of life, this has been like the one constant. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, it's been like one of the most consistent things, but in my life, and that's not because like I'm lucky or some like rap god just like stuck it on my back and I get to just have it with me all the times, because I made a decision like I'm not gonna let anything get between me and this thing, because I love it. And because I do believe like hip hop culture, I've seen the way it's transformed people's lives. I believe, art can transform not only like our finances, or it can transform communities.
Right.
Just the same way it gave you something to believe in, it gave me that too as a kid. So I believe in that and I still do. And I just try to hold on to that, to where when I see a kid or somebody who is in love with it like I was, I know that feeling and I know what it feels like, and I'm still there with it. You know what I mean? Like it's still part of my life. And like you said, it's starting to pay off in different ways now.
No doubt. No doubt. So you love it, you grinding it out, and then you facilitate Charged Up.
Yeah.
How did that come about, man? Because I don't know. When did you start Charged Up?
So we started Charged Up in 2002.
Okay,
It's
so it's been
2024 now. It's 22 years.
Sheesh, 22 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is wild, bro. You've been on the grind, really, really repping that brand, your brand.
Yeah.
How did that? Yeah, tell me, bro. I want the backstory. How did Charged Up come to fruition?
So when I was in high school, going back to high school, I got kicked out of school, had to go to alternative school, Virginia Randolph. When at this time I was already starting to rap. I used to play basketball, but people knew me that lived in like Henrico in the west, west part of Henrico. It was people that knew I could rap, but I hadn't like ever recorded songs. They just knew I could rap. But so when I got kicked out of school, went to Randolph, I met another kid, and this kid's named Vale.
Okay.
For those watching, that's Charged Up Vale.
Okay.
Yeah, people told me he rapped. So when I started going there, we ended up going on a field trip. That was the first time I really had talked to him. And he had told me that he was part of a group and they were going on BT on TV that week. So I was like, man, that's crazy. I had never knew anybody who really rapped, nobody who was serious. I didn't know nobody who went to the studio. So like hearing him, seeing the things he was doing, I was like, man, this is a different level. So I ended up that weekend seeing him on TV, and that's when it hit me. It was him and my other boy Skrill. They were in a group together called Divine Sun. So I seen him on TV, and that's the first time I was like, man, this thing is for real. Like, this is somebody I just seen sitting next to me. He's on TV. So from then, long story short, I ended up rapping with them. I became part of their group. And then it was shortly after I got out of high school, I always looked up to people like Jay-Z, E40, Master P, especially like these people who they had their own labels. And I would read, like, I've always been a sponge for like information. So I would read like their stories. Nobody believed in them. They didn't have an opportunity. So they made up their own record label.
Right.
And that's what I felt. I was like, man, we're here in Richmond, Virginia, bro. Nobody's like trying to come save us.
Nah, no doubt.
I don't know nobody in New York or LA or Atlanta. So like, I was just copying what I seen. I was like, bro, we're gonna start a label. Like, and that now hindsight, that probably looked crazy to people. You know what I mean?
That's how it is, bro. It's
Now in hindsight, I'm like, bro, we was kids, but that was, so I went, I found a kid who could do graphic design. I got him to make up a logo, our first logo, made up the logo. And then I was, I explained to them, I said, look, I know we're a group, but who's pushing the group? It's going to be Charged Up. So and it's crazy. Like, we did our first show back in 2002 as Charged Up. So it was just from that point, I just started thinking about the things that I seen. Like, nah, we're going to make flyers. Everything we do is going to say Charged Up on it. So if they ask, who did it, and that's the truth. Like, to this day, anybody who sees me, is not because it's ever had really another label's support. Is us,
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what I wanted people to know. Like, I wanted people to know, like, man, this is, if you want to do something, you want to accomplish your dreams, like, somebody got to do it.
Facts.
And if it ain't nobody, who's it gonna be?
Right.
It gotta be us, like, for ourselves.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? If we believe, and that's the thing, is like, I believe in myself, bro. And I'm willing to invest in myself. And I'm willing, I'm just not the type of person that waits for people to do stuff. And, I take accountability. I'm not gonna blame anybody for my success or failure. That's what I mean. So I say it in one of my rhymes on my Trilipino album. I say, independence mean that I was never shelved, but also if I fail, can only blame myself.
Word.
So it's like, yeah, I'm independent. My album, I never had to ask nobody to put out an album. They can't tell me not to put out an album. But also, if I fail at this, it also falls on me as well.
Word.
And at the end of the day, I'm willing to live with that. I can live with failure. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't look at it like it's failure.
It's part of the process.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I think accountability is key for a lot of people, man. And I too am one of those. Like, I'd rather bet on myself. And if I don't want to look at nobody and say, bro, like, you should have went harder.
Yo, and that's the thing. Like, I can't imagine. I just that idea just seems crazy to me now, and it seemed crazy as a kid. But I can't imagine being in like a room and asking somebody for permission to do what
Facts.
I do.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I could see asking for money, ask for help, but even that, I know that everything comes with something.
Right.
Like, nothing is really free. So it's like, that whole idea, you know, just never seemed right to me. And then not only that, but the people that I grew up admiring, they had that mindset as well. You know, it's just like, I always looked at people like, man, Master P again, Master P, E40 and Jay-Z is like, when I looked at them and listened to their stories of how they got to where they were, you know, these people, like you said, these people are trailblazers, bro. How did they get there? A lot of them got there because nobody was willing to help them.
Right.
Nobody did help them. So they took it upon themselves. So yeah, man.
That was the seed. That was the seed you needed, man. And you
not saying it for everybody, bro. You gotta be crazy. You know,
dude, you gotta be a little bit delusional to chase your dreams, man. And I think it's stuff like that hits me now at 38. Like, we took the kids to Disney earlier this year. And normally, you know, you just in the park, you like, yo, the rides are cool. But I stood there and was like, yo, one guy had a conversation with somebody one day, Walt Disney, and say, yo, I'm gonna build a theme park in the swamp, and this shit is gonna go on well after I'm dead. And they looked at him and said, yo, you're crazy. That'll never work. And I stood in the middle of that theme park and was like, yo, this is a dream. This dude
this
really
was somebody's dream at one point.
Facts. And it, like, I think what you're saying, well, not even think, I know what you're saying is that feeling of accountability. It's that feeling of believing in yourself, that feeling of having that brain charged up, sink or to the moon.
Yeah.
This is the dream, and I'm gonna follow this to wherever it, you know, brings me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that emotion, right, is what they talk about in Think and Grow Rich, is the one thing that successful people hold on to, you know, because when things get tough, what is it? In the book, it said majority, I don't think it gave a percentage, but it said the majority of men, right before they succeed, they quit because they are met with some type of failure.
Yeah.
But the success is on the opposite side of failure if you have the willingness to push through. And 22 years in,
bro,
it sounds like you are continuing to push through.
Yo, that's like, you know, you asked earlier, like, challenges, adversity. Like, I never looked at it like why me? Why is this happening? I just looked at whatever challenges we face are part of life, right? Like, you know, getting relationships, people break up, people die. You know, sometimes you're broke. These things was gonna happen whether I do this or not.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
This thing happens to people that don't have any dreams.
Right.
So I'm like, bro, and I could never imagine that type of life for myself. It's not about me doing hip hop. It's never been about, you know, other people's like admiration or money. It's just like, this is the thing that I love. And I looked at it like anytime things would, I guess like any type of challenges, I looked at it like, I'm not gonna let this thing beat me.
Word.
I'm not gonna let this happen to me. And that be why I'm not doing what I love. You know what I mean?
Nah,
like,
no doubt.
That this not gonna be the deciding factor. And I didn't care if that was a person who told me I would never make it, a person who told me I didn't have what it took. Just whatever. Like, I never believed none of that. And then, you know, coming from Virginia, you know, I never believed that. Like, I always loved not originally, but
Mhm.
as a kid, there was a lot of things that I didn't agree with here. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But I just told myself, like, when I seen these other people's stories about where they were from, it's like everywhere on earth is kind of the same. It
Mhm.
just it's a little bit different. So I just looked at it like, why not us?
Right.
Why can't this happen? And you know what I mean? Like,
Dog.
I guess anybody could give you a million reasons why something can't be done, but I know for a lot of people, seeing is believing, and
Mhm.
you trying to be a trailblazer or a visionary that come with, like you said, delusion. A
Mhm.
visionary is somebody who sees things that nobody else sees.
Facts.
And I've said this before, like, having a dream or having faith, all of that is like, you're kind of crazy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, think about these
Mhm.
stories. Like, you see stuff that, like, what is the difference between somebody that gets labeled crazy and they see and hear things that nobody else does?
Mhm.
Those people think they're crazy because they don't see what they're seeing.
Right.
If everybody saw it, they wouldn't look crazy. You feel
Nah,
me?
no
So,
doubt.
like,
Yeah.
and that's why, one thing I want to point out, like, I don't share my vision.
Mhm.
I don't. I just make plans.
And take action.
Yeah. And you gotta be real careful. I don't tell people what to do or give too much advice.
Mhm.
But if you have a vision or a dream, you gotta be careful who you share that with.
Keep it low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that as well, man. I feel like at times where I had something cooking, and because at first it's the excitement,
Yeah.
like, yo, Noah, bro,
Yeah.
I got whoop, this going on, da. And then if like you don't get the response, it's like, well, damn, man, that's my man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, then maybe this shit ain't as sweet as I think. And then it's like,
And then you
if
start
it
to doubt yourself.
word, and then if it don't work out, then you gotta come back and explain,
Mhm.
like, oh man, like such and such fell
Nah.
through.
That's why you can share it, but you gotta know who you can share it with.
Facts.
And once you build your right team or
Mhm.
you have the right, people around
Mhm.
you, and I am fortunate, like, people see, maybe see some of the things I'm doing now, and I am fortunate. I've had some friends, man, that ever since we was a kid, they, no matter what I said, it didn't sound crazy to them. You know
Word.
what I mean? But that's not everybody.
Nah.
You know what I mean? All my friends, I know who I can,
Say what to.
yeah, and who's gonna ride. Like, you know what?
I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm with it. Let's go. And that's what Charged Up is
Charged up, bro. I remember hearing that shit so
having those
much.
people around you, man. And that's the meaning of Charged Up. Like, Charged Up symbolizes energy, and energy can never die. And it's like infectious. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah,
Like,
that's fire,
we
bro.
empower one another. Like, and that's, it's bigger than just, even though people who might be like on our team, we want to give that feeling to the whole city, the whole world. And that goes back to like the festival. This is, hopefully this is the beginning of us giving the city what we believe can be done. You know what I mean?
Facts.
A few of us believed it, and then I started rapping. Then we believe we can have a store. Now it's like, no, why can't we? Austin, why can't we do this? Austin, Texas wasn't, and South by Southwest wasn't just instantly what it is today.
Right.
Like, and Richmond is one of the Richmond is a creative hotspot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
especially in this region, like, Richmond, it really is the creative capital of Virginia. Like, there's no disputing that.
No doubt.
Like, we're fortunate. We have VCU here. We also have, a city government that supports the arts. Are things perfect? No, it's not perfect anywhere. But we do have certain things that can work to our benefit, and that's why you see a lot of change taking place in Richmond right now. A lot of things are getting built, and I believe, like, it's a good time. If you have an idea, if you have something you want to implement, I would do it now before certain things are out of everybody's reach.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like back to getting a vision and you being 22 years in, right? For somebody starting, it's like the biggest misconception that we all share is time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the longer you sit on it and the longer you wait, the further you are behind. But also, bro, you may not even get that opportunity the way people falling out. You know?
Yeah, man. And that's something like for me, because I grew up seeing certain things,
Mhm.
I lost. I don't even say I lost because that sounds like it's personal, but
Mhm.
my mother and father passed on, other
Mhm.
close loved ones, where it was like, it set in pretty early for me that life is not promised.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's the one thing we all know is that our time here is limited.
Mhm.
Some people it's shorter, some people it could be long, but I think because that the reality of that hit me at a young age where it was like, nah, if you want to do something, you do it now. Does that mean everything's going to happen instantly? Nah.
No.
Take time. But your ideas and your dreams, tomorrow's not promised for anybody. So I just never wanted to be one of those people who like, let me say this. How can I put this? All right, people make bucket lists, right?
Right.
They make bucket lists like somebody finds out they have a year to live.
Mhm.
They make a list. I want to drive a Lambo. I want to go to Bali.
Mhm.
I want to jump out of a plane. Whatever it is, a
Mhm.
bucket list. A lot of times those people do all those things.
Mhm.
So it's like, why can't we live like in our lifestyle be a reflection of everything we want?
Facts.
That don't gotta be the 1 year you about to die. Or what used to bother me was like, people work their whole life
Mhm.
and have all these dreams. Again, I want to have this car, this and that. And then what happens is, you work your whole life and then they go to retire and then they finally do and live the life that they want.
Right.
And do the things that they love. And it's like, but by that time, your body might be so broken down, you don't really get to enjoy it.
Right.
And it's, so I think all the reality, all those things is what has fueled me. Like, I'm gonna live the life I want. I'm gonna do the things I want to do. Does that mean like it's easy? Nah, but you get where I'm coming
No,
from.
bro.
You gotta live now, man.
In my
We're
head.
not infinite beings. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
as you're speaking, bro. No, my bad. Go ahead. Finish
Yeah, that's just the reality of it. Those things were apparent to me very early. Nobody's gonna give me anything. And nobody's gonna give you anything.
Mhm.
And if you want to make something happen, you're probably gonna have to do it yourself.
Nah, no doubt. And as you were speaking, it's like, bro, it's like wavelengths and patterns. Is that only people with like a creative mind or somebody that like the faith, the belief, like has shit brewing up here that I just can't say because to somebody that's not, I don't want to say tapped in, but thinks that way, it sounds insane.
Yeah.
But that's like, in my opinion, like how everyone should operate because I worked in a place for 6 years, man. In that building, bro, I saw people work from 18 to 70, right? They were retire. And then 2 weeks later, you find out they passed away. And I remember like walking into that building every day, like, yo, like, okay, I'm getting paid, the money's good, but I still got all this up here that I got to get out, but I don't have the time because this is literally draining everything that I got out of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to pray about it, right? And then, it didn't happen the way I would have liked it to, but I think that's like my higher power has a funny way of like, yo, you said you wanted time, sucker. Here you go. You know what I mean? So it was
congratulations, you got fired.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I stepped away because, and I could tell the story now, but this dude assaulted me.
Oh, wow.
Right? Not like full on, like, you know what I mean? But I'd never swum back. Management really didn't like me, so it was like a movie, bro. They put me in this dungeon, like basement, to make copies. Right, bro? I'm telling you, you seen Office Space?
Yeah, nah. I know the show you're talking about.
Well,
yeah,
you see it. The dude's in a basement, this dark, grungy ass basement making copies, and that was me, right? So I was embarrassed first, like, bro, pissed off, embarrassed, like, man, this really the shit I got to do, like, man, fuck, but after the feelings wore off, the message became clear.
Yeah.
bruh, you got time. So now is the time for you to focus on what it is that you really want to do. And I sat in there like, all right, man, what is it? Like, why am I here, Jarrod? Like, we've had them conversations with ourselves. Like, what's next? So Strength in Time was born. Like the logo, the peer support, like everything that I had been consistent with for, at that point, it was 7 years up until that point, was sobriety and recovery. I was like, oh shit, the light bulb hit. Bro, that's it. Like focus there, like that's your demographic. Just like hip hop and music was the place that you're like, yo, this is where I belong. It's like, man, this is where I belong. And I started to create around that because I thoroughly enjoy it. And then I can incorporate everything else I love. Music, podcasting, art, you know what I'm saying? Because what I found, like what the correlation between addiction and recovery and creatives is that, bro, a lot of us mask our creative abilities because we want to fit in with all the other shit everybody's doing because we sound fucking crazy when we talk about things, bro. And it's like, that's why you meet so many like painters and musicians that, bro, I've met people in this recovery space that I would have never crossed paths with. Like I got interviews with Damon Elliott, Wes Greer from Korn, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, how? But it's the same thing with you in hip hop, like choosing that mission because that became a purpose. That, bro, has elevated you to rooms and conversations that, bro, like you sitting there. I know sometimes it seems so surreal, and it's like, nah, actually, I worked my ass off for this, and this is where I belong.
Exactly. Yeah.
But before we wrap, man, I want to say, like, honestly, bro, like, this was an empowering conversation.
Thank you.
Drop the details again for the Charged Up Fest, bro.
Yo, Charged Up Fest is May 30th to June 2nd, Richmond, Virginia. Again, it's 4 days, over 10 events, everything from educational panel discussions to community bike ride, a community block party, producer-centered events, parties, to grand finale concert. But you can find out all the details. Follow us at Charged Up Fest on all social media or visit chargedupent.com.
Word. Before I wrap, bro, I do ask one more question.
Yes, sir.
You know somebody that's out there struggling, they possibly got an idea they cannot figure out how to get unstuck, right? What do you think, with everything that you've been through and everything you're currently working on, like what could you say to that person that's trying to go from point A to point B?
Man, that's a good question because I've been there personally, like
Me
stuck
too.
before, you know? You gotta, I had this job before and the manager made me tape this piece of paper to the wall and it said that things that are in motion tend to stay in motion. It's a lot easier to keep moving than it is. It's a lot easier to move, you know what I mean, once you already moving than to start once you stop. So I think that's the biggest thing I had to learn. I almost quit because I was stuck before. I almost quit, you know, pursuing music. And it's not, I had to realize it's like not even pursuing music. This is just what I do. It's not based on anybody else's like validation or anything. So I would just say, you just gotta move. Like, even if you moving slow, that's still movement. That's still motion. You know, slow motion better than no motion. You can't do anything once you stop. So I would say, just take a step forward. If you have a dream or something you want to do, you don't know how to get there. I do believe in God. I believe that God knows that the desires of our hearts, and that when you take a step towards what you're trying to get to, you're gonna see things and opportunities and people be placed in your path that'll kind of guide you along the way. And I didn't know I'd be where I'm at right now. You know, only God knows where I'm gonna go next. But I believe just me just taking a step forward, you know, each time just taking steps forward, everything that I'm needed have been provided to me for me to, you know, keep going. So
nah, facts. That was excellent, man. And as you were speaking, it was something popped in my head. And it was funny. When I was music, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I was performing at a venue where Black Liquid was.
Mm.
And him and I were talking. And I go, and I think I was just maybe like a month or so sober. And then he had started getting sober. So we were talking. And I was like, man, like, bro, just give me some advice. What do I do? You know, normally Black Liquid, he's like mad long-winded.
Yeah.
But he just looked at me and was like, yo, consistency is key. Then he dipped out. And I was like, the fuck does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
Real though. Yeah.
But yeah, I peeled off and like, bro, I'm saying like a year later, that shit hit me. And it was like, oh my God, consistency. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And I texted, I was like, bro, it finally clicked. And he just laughed, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's dope, man.
Shout out to Black Lick.
Black Lick, yeah, man. The guy.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Anything else you want to say, bro?
Man, just follow me at Jarrod and Noah-O. Log on to chargedupent.com. Man, just stay tapped in. I got new project out now. Me and DJ Mentos, Analog Suspects, The Ripple Effect.
Okay.
I'm dropping a new single soon called Money Ain't Enough. And yeah, if you're in Richmond, Virginia, May 30th to June 2nd, you know, come out to Charged Up Fest, man. We're going to have a little bit of something for everybody.
No doubt, no doubt.
Oh yeah, come see us at the Charged Up flagship store, 106 West Broad Street 2. Pick up some merch.
Yeah, I need to come get some new gear, man.
Yeah,
I gotta come get some new gear, bro. It's summertime. I can't keep rocking this joint.
Yeah.
Noah-O, I appreciate you. Charged up.
Appreciate you.
This was solid, dog. And we lit. Redeem Yourself podcast. Noah-O, charged up. Got it.
Saying how you feeling right now. Saying how you say it. Show me how I look in your heart. Better look amazing.